Welcome to Starbound Valor HFY. Subscribe now and dive into daily epic sci-fi adventures where humanity always rises. The galaxy was burning, and everyone knew humanity was near its end. Worlds that once shined with blue oceans and bright cities now floated as dark broken pieces in space. The alien horde called the Zarkith moved like a storm across every human system. They destroyed colonies in minutes, killed armies in hours, and broke entire fleets in a single day. No one understood why the Zarkith hated humans so much. They never talked, never asked for peace, never sent a warning. They only attacked with brutal force, leaving nothing alive behind them. Every human world sent the same final message: we cannot hold. Humanity is falling. The last human networks filled with panic. Refugee ships ran without direction, searching for any safe place left. Families cried in broken escape pods. Soldiers watched helplessly as their ships failed one by one. There was no hero, no leader, no strong fleet to save them. The great human navy that once guarded the stars was now almost gone. Everyone believed the end had finally arrived. On the command station near the dying planet Helios Prime, the officers stared at the screens showing the red wave of Zarkith forces moving closer. The planet had minutes left. Commander Lyra stood still, her voice shaking as she said, "There is no ship left to stop them." The crew was silent, waiting for the Zarkith to finish what they started. But then something strange happened. A sensor alarm beeped softly at first, then louder. Officer Rin checked the readings and frowned. "Commander, I am detecting an unknown energy signature," he said. Lyra turned quickly. "From where?" "Another Zarkith ship." "No," Rin answered. "This is different. The energy is old, very old. And strong." The crew watched as a dark point formed on the screen. Far out in the empty region known as the Black Void, a place where no human ship survived before. The energy grew brighter, swirling like a silent storm. Then, without warning, a massive shadow stepped out of the darkness. A warship. A human warship. But not just any warship. It looked ancient, heavy, and strange, like it had been rebuilt with unknown metal and glowing symbols across its hull. The crew gasped. Some whispered in shock. Rin spoke first, his voice nearly breaking. "Commander, that is Aegis 1. Lyra froze. The Aegis 1 was a legend, a myth told for years. It vanished 50 years ago during the first Zarkith contact. People believed it was destroyed with all hands lost. But now it stood before them, rising from the void like a ghost returning to life. As the huge ship moved closer, the hidden human base received a transmission. The old speakers cracked as a cold, steady voice echoed through the command room. "This is Aegis 1. I am returning. Prepare for contact." The crew stared at each other, confused and afraid. Who was sending this message? Who was commanding the ship? And how did it survive in the void for 50 years? Lyra whispered, "If this is real, if the Aegis has returned, maybe we are not done yet." But the moment of hope vanished quickly as another alarm blared. The Zarkith fleet had changed course. They detected the energy burst from Aegis 1 and were now rushing toward it. Hundreds of alien ships formed around the region like a black cloud of death. "They are going to intercept," Rin said. "They think it's only one human ship." Lyra's heart beat fast. A single warship against a full Zarkith hunting group was suicide. But something about Aegis 1 felt different. Something powerful. Something dangerous. The ship slowly turned to face the incoming alien swarm. Its hull glowed with faint blue lines, pulsing like a heartbeat. A deep vibration echoed through space, as if the ship was waking up after a long sleep. The aliens opened fire first. Bright green plasma bolts shot across the void. The crew on the human base watched with fear. They expected Aegis 1 to fall instantly. But instead, something unbelievable happened. The ship vanished. For a moment it looked like it dissolved into thin air. The alien shots hit only empty space. Then Aegis 1 reappeared behind the Zarkith formation. 1 second it was gone, the next it was in a new position, moving faster than any human ship ever built. A single beam of white light fired from its center. silent, clean, deadly. It passed through 3 alien cruisers before anyone even understood what happened. All 3 ships exploded at once. The human crew stared wide-eyed. That is impossible, one whispered. Lyra felt her hands shaking. What kind of power is that? Aegis, one moved again, blinking across space like a ghost, striking alien ships with perfect accuracy. Every shot was silent but ended with massive destruction. Even the Zarkith seemed confused. Their ships scattered, trying to surround the lone warship. But Aegis, one was always one step ahead, moving like it already knew what the enemies planned. The battle lasted only minutes. Then the space around the void fell quiet. Smoke and broken alien ships floated everywhere. And at the center of it all, untouched, unshaken, stood Aegis 1. But the mystery grew deeper when a second message arrived. "This is Captain Orion Hale," the voice said calmly. "Humanity is not finished. Not yet." The crew looked at each other. Captain Hale had been missing for 50 years. He should have been dead. How was he alive? Where had he been? And how did his ship gain such power? Outside, the galaxy still burned. But for the first time in years, a small spark of hope appeared. A single warship had returned from the void. And nothing would be the same again. The hidden human base was silent as the massive warship Aegis 1 slowly approached, its dark metal shining with strange blue lines that looked alive. People gathered near the docking bay windows, staring with wide eyes, unsure if they were witnessing a miracle or a threat. No one dared to speak. No one wanted to break the heavy fear mixed with hope in the air. For 50 long years, the Aegis 1 had been lost, its crew gone, its captain declared dead. The ship had vanished during the first Zarkith invasion, leaving behind only rumors and legends. Some said it fell into a black hole. Others believed the captain mutinied and ran. Many thought it was destroyed by the alien horde. But now, against all logic, against all history, it had returned. And it was stronger than anything humanity had ever seen. The docking bay doors opened slowly with a loud metallic hiss. A single man stepped out of the ship, walking calmly as if he had been gone for only a day. Captain Orion Hale. The officers watching him felt a cold wave go through their bodies. He looked human, but something in his eyes felt different. His face was older but not weak. His eyes glowed faintly, not with light, but with something deep and unreadable, as if he had seen things no human mind should see. His steps were steady, almost too steady, as if gravity itself obeyed him. Commander Lyra stepped forward, her voice unsure. "Captain, is it really you?" Hale stopped walking and studied her for a moment before speaking. "Yes, I have returned." His voice was calm, cold, and strangely powerful. Not loud, not angry, just certain, like a man who no longer feared anything. Lyra swallowed hard. "We thought you were dead. Everyone thought Aegis 1 was lost forever." Hale looked around the room, at the frightened and confused faces. "The ship was never lost," he said slowly. "It simply traveled further than anyone expected." His words created more questions, not answers. The officers exchanged nervous looks. No one understood what he meant. Officer Rin stepped closer, unable to control his curiosity. "Captain, where did you go? How did you survive the void?" Hale's expression remained blank. The void is not what humans believe. It is not emptiness. It is a door. And on the other side, there are things far older than the Zarkith, and far more powerful. The crew felt a chill move through the room. Hale continued before anyone could ask again. "They found us. They studied us. They tested us. And in the end, they decided to help us." Lyra's breath caught. "Who are they, Captain?" Hale's eyes darkened slightly. "Beings that exist beyond our understanding. Energy without form. Mind without body. They do not speak in words. They speak in thoughts." He paused, as if remembering something painful. "I learned from them. I saw their world. And they changed the Aegis. They changed me. Rin stepped back, fear rising in his eyes. The captain seemed human, but also something else. Something more. Why did they help you? Lyra asked quietly. Hale looked at her, his face emotionless. Because they see the Zarkith as a threat. Not to humans, but to everything. The room fell into complete silence. Everyone tried to understand. Everyone failed. Hale finally shifted the topic. How many human worlds remain? Lyra hesitated. Very few. The Zarkith destroyed most of our colonies. Earth is preparing for evacuation. We have maybe 1 month. Hale nodded slowly, as if he had expected this. Then there is no time to waste. He turned back toward his ship. Prepare the base. Aegis. One will not be staying here long. But before he could leave, one young officer dared to ask, Captain, can your ship really stop the Zarkith? Hale stopped walking. For a moment, the only sound in the room was the low hum of the warship behind him. Then he looked over his shoulder and said, The Aegis One is no longer just a warship. It is a weapon built by something far beyond us. His eyes glimmered again, cold and bright. Yes, it can stop them. Lyra stepped forward, worry twisting inside her chest. Captain, what happened to the rest of your crew? You were not alone when you disappeared. Hale didn't answer immediately. His face became still, almost too still. They did not survive the passage, he said at last, voice flat and emotionless. The void changes things. I am the only one who returned. The officers felt a wave of sadness and fear. Something terrible must have happened out there, something Captain Hale refused to describe. He turned again to leave, but this time Lyra called out, Wait, Captain, what is your plan? Hale stopped at the doorway. The Zarkith believe humanity is weak. They believe we have nothing left. He raised his head slightly. They are wrong. In that moment, every person in the room felt something shift, a feeling like the beginning of a storm. Hale continued, his voice calm but heavy with meaning. I will take the Aegis One and face the Zarkith fleet that destroyed Helios Prime. The entire room gasped. That fleet alone had over 2,000 alien warships, enough to crush any human force. Alone, Lyra whispered. Hale nodded once. There is no other way. They must learn fear. And with that final sentence, he stepped back onto the Aegis One, the doors closing behind him with a deep, echoing thud. The officers stared at each other, their hearts pounding. Something had returned from the void, but whether it was truly human anymore, no one could say. All they knew was this: the war had changed. And humanity's last hope was now a silent man with glowing eyes and a ship that should not exist. Captain Orion Hale stood in the command center of Aegis One as the massive warship slowly turned toward the dark region of space where the Zarkith hunting group had gathered. The crew of the hidden base watched from their screens, unable to believe that one man and one ship were about to face a fleet large enough to destroy entire planets. The Aegis One glowed softly, its strange blue lines pulsing like veins under its armor, reacting to Hale's presence as if the ship were alive. Hale placed his hand on the central control panel, and the ship responded instantly, humming with a deep, quiet sound that felt more like a heartbeat. He did not order fear. He did not ask for backup. He simply said one calm sentence: Let them come. Meanwhile, the Zarkith fleet closed in with terrifying speed. Thousands of alien eyes watched from their ships, confident in their power. To them, one human warship was nothing but a toy. A small prey item. A mistake to be crushed. Their commander, a massive creature with glowing red armor, sent out a message to his fleet: Destroy the human ghost ship. Leave nothing behind. The aliens moved like a swarm of dark insects, spreading in every direction to surround Aegis One. The ship was alone in the middle of a vast, empty part of space, a tiny island surrounded by endless enemies. But Hale stood without fear. The void beings had changed him in ways no human understood. He knew the strengths of his ship, and he knew the weaknesses of the alien horde. As the first wave of Zarkith ships rushed forward, Hale whispered, "Begin." The Aegis, one vanished. It did not warp in the usual human way. It did not leave behind light trails. It simply flickered out of existence like a candle flame. The aliens fired at the place it once stood, but their energy blasts hit nothing. For one long second, space was silent. Then the ship reappeared directly behind the alien formation. A single white beam shot from its hull, cutting through 5 alien destroyers with perfect precision. They exploded at the same time, their wreckage scattering like dust. Before the aliens could react, Aegis, one blinked out again. Then appeared on the left flank. Another shot. More explosions. The aliens were confused. Their sensors could not track the ship's movement. Their weapons could not lock on. Their formations collapsed as Aegis, one moved like a shadow, attacking from angles that made no sense. Humans watching from the base were speechless. "How is it moving like that?" one officer said. Lyra whispered, "It is not a human ship anymore." Inside the Aegis One, Hale stood completely still, his eyes glowing faintly as he connected with the ship systems. The void had given him more than knowledge. It had given him a mental link to the warship itself. He did not need to press buttons. He only needed to think, and the ship responded. The Zarkith commander roared in frustration. He ordered every ship to fire at random positions, hoping to hit Aegis, one by chance. The space around the ship turned bright with green explosions. For a moment it looked like the Aegis, one was swallowed by the fire. But then it emerged from the flames completely unharmed. Its hull glowed brighter, absorbing the energy instead of breaking. Hale spoke softly, "Your weapons are nothing now." He raised his hand slightly, and the Aegis One unleashed its second ability. A wave of blue light spread outward in a perfect circle. Every alien ship within thousands of kilometers stopped moving. Their engines died. Their weapons went dark. The ships floated helplessly like dead insects. Hale said, "End them." Aegis One fired small darts of energy that pierced the disabled ships one by one. They exploded silently in the vacuum of space, their remains drifting away. Within minutes, half the Zarkith fleet was gone. The remaining ships backed away, something the aliens had never done in the history of war. They had never felt fear, until now. The Zarkith commander screamed in rage and desperation. He activated his personal weapon, a massive supercannon attached to the flagship. The cannon charged with red fire, capable of destroying a planet's surface in one shot. The humans watching from the hidden base gasped. "If that hits Aegis One, it's over," Rin said. But Hale did not move. He simply closed his eyes. Aegis One teleported directly in front of the Zarkith flagship, point-blank range. The alien commander's red eyes widened in shock, but it was too late. Hale said one final word, "Goodbye." A bright white flash erupted from the Aegis One, cutting the flagship clean in half. The explosion was so powerful the shockwave pushed smaller ships away like broken toys. And with their leader gone, the surviving Zarkith ships fled. The humans watching broke into tears, cheering and shouting in disbelief. A single human warship had defeated a fleet of thousands. But Hale did not celebrate. He stared into the darkness of space, knowing this was only the beginning. The Zarkith would return. Stronger. Angrier. And somewhere out there, the true threat still waited, a threat the void beings had warned him about. Hale turned the ship toward human space and whispered, "Prepare yourselves. The war is changing." And Aegis One moved forward, glowing with the strange power of the void. After the destruction of the Zarkith hunting fleet, the Aegis One drifted silently through space, its blue lights dimmed as if the ship were resting after a fierce battle. Captain Orion Hale stood alone on the command deck, staring at the stars with a blank, unreadable expression. The humans at the hidden base were still trying to process what they had seen. They had witnessed a single human ship destroy a force that should have been impossible to defeat. When Hale returned to the base for supplies and repairs, the officers gathered around him with fear mixed with curiosity. They wanted answers, real answers, because the more they watched Hale and his ship, the more they felt something was not normal, not human, not natural. Commander Lyra was the first to speak. Captain Hale, we need to understand what happened to you. What happened inside the void? Hale looked at her with calm eyes, eyes that glowed faintly like cold stars. If I tell you everything, he said slowly, you may never sleep again. His voice carried weight, not threat, but truth. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Rin stepped forward despite the fear in his eyes. We deserve to know, sir. Humanity deserves to know. Hale sighed softly, as if remembering something painful. Very well, he said. But be prepared, because the void is not a place humans were meant to enter. The room became silent as Hale began to speak. When the Aegis I disappeared 50 years ago, we didn't fall into a black hole as everyone believes. We crossed into another layer of existence. A dimension made of pure energy, not matter. A place where time doesn't move forward or backward. It simply is. The officers stared at him, confused and horrified. Hale continued, once we entered that place, my crew, they changed. Their bodies could not survive the energy waves. Their minds could not handle the pressure. The void stripped them apart piece by piece. I heard their screams, until there were no screams left. His face remained emotionless, but his voice carried deep sadness. Lyra stepped back, shocked. You mean, you are the only survivor? Hale nodded. Yes, I am the only one who endured. And the only reason I survived is because something inside the void decided that I should. The officers froze. Something, Rin whispered. Who or what saved you? Hale's eyes darkened as he spoke the next words. They call themselves the Eternals. Beings made of light, older than galaxies, older than stars. They do not have bodies. They do not speak with sound. They communicate through thoughts and visions. He paused, remembering the sensation. At first, they examined me. They wanted to know what humans were, what we feared, what we dreamed. They entered my mind and read everything, every memory, every pain, every victory, every loss. The crew felt a shiver run through them. Hale continued, when they finished studying me, they made a choice. They upgraded the Aegis I with their own technology. They repaired it, reshaped it, and filled it with energy humans cannot create. And then, they changed me as well. Lyra's voice trembled. Changed you? How? My body is still human, he said. But my mind is not the same. I can see things before they happen. I can feel the energy flow around me. I can control the ship without touching anything. The Aegis I and I are connected. We are one. The officers stared at him, unsure whether to feel awe or fear. Hale lowered his head slightly. But the Eternals did not help me for free. They gave me a message. A warning. Rin swallowed nervously. What did they warn you about? Hale's voice became colder, deeper. They told me that the Zarkith are not the true threat. They are only the beginning. A shadow of something far worse. Something that sleeps beyond the void, waiting for the right moment to awaken. The room fell into complete silence. Every officer felt the air grow heavier. The Zarkith, Hale continued, are running from that thing. They destroy worlds because they fear something coming behind them. And when it arrives, everything will burn. Lyra felt fear rise inside her chest. Captain, why didn't you tell us earlier? Hale looked at her with calm, empty eyes. Because humans were not ready to hear it. You were already losing hope. Telling you about a greater threat would have broken you completely. I needed to show you first that we still have strength. That we still can fight. That we still can win. He took a deep breath. Now, you are ready, Rin whispered. So the Zarkith, they aren't our final enemy? Hale shook his head. No. They are fleeing from something older than creation. Something that even the Eternals fear. The officers felt their hearts sink, but Hale raised his hand. Do not fear. The Eternals did not choose me to run away. They chose me to stand between humanity and the darkness. His eyes glowed brighter. And I will. Outside the base, the Aegis, one pulsed with blue energy, as if listening. As if waiting. The galaxy was burning, but now humanity knew the truth. The real war had not even begun. As the burning echoes of the last battlefield faded, the dark horizon of space slowly shifted into an uneasy calm. The few surviving human ships drifted like wounded giants, their hulls cracked, their engines sparking, and their crews exhausted beyond words. Yet the war was far from over, and Commander Rylan knew it. The Void-born Empire had been pushed back, forced to retreat from the frontline sectors. But they were not defeated. Not yet. Rylan stood on the observation deck of the battered warship. Horizon's Edge watching the broken stars glide past the viewport. The ship's AI, Orion, had activated emergency protocols to keep the vessel stable, but every bulkhead groaned like an old beast trying not to collapse. The crew moved with silent discipline, each motion filled with both fear and determination. They had survived the impossible, but survival alone meant nothing if the enemy returned stronger. Rylan turned toward his officers, a small group of tired but loyal soldiers who looked to him for leadership. The Void-born will strike again, he said quietly. Their retreat is only a delay. They are gathering forces somewhere, and we must find them before they find us. Lieutenant Mara stepped forward, her face pale but steady. Commander, we found something in the ruins of the enemy dreadnought, a transmission fragment. We're decoding it now. Rylan's heart tightened. If the fragment held coordinates or strategic data, it could change everything. Show me, he ordered. Mara tapped her wrist device and projected the fragment onto the holoscreen. Distorted voice crackled through the speakers, speaking in the alien tongue, deep and cold. Then suddenly, the message shifted into clear universal standard, something the Void-born never used. The translation was crude but chilling. Phase 2 begins. The human anomaly must be neutralized. The Primarch awakens. The room went silent. Not a whisper. Not a breath. Rylan felt the weight of the message settle into his bones. The Prima RCHT was only a myth, a Void-born leader so powerful that entire fleets supposedly bent to its command. For centuries no one had seen it, no one even knew if it was real. But if the message was true, the war was about to reach a level no one had imagined. Where is this message coming from? Rylan asked. Outer Rim Sector Theta 9, Mara replied. A dead system, nanoplanets, no stations. Just a collapsed star. Commander Rylan paced slowly, thinking through every possibility. If the Void-born chose a dead system, it may be hiding something. Something big. Shadow bases, factories, or maybe even the Primarch itself. Before anyone could respond, an alarm blared through the ship. The lights dimmed and the red emergency glow pulsed across the walls. Ryan's voice filled the deck. Commander, multiple unidentified warp signatures incoming. They match Void-born energy patterns. Every crew member froze. Rylan's eyes sharpened. How many? 27 ships, Orion replied. And one extremely large mass. Possibly a command vessel. Mara's breath hitched. They found us. Rylan straightened his shoulders. Battle positions. All stations ready weapons. The fight isn't over. But as the enemy ships ripped out of warp space, something strange happened. They didn't open fire. Not even a warning shot. They simply formed a massive circle formation around Horizon's Edge, as if preparing for something ritualistic. Then a monstrous shadow appeared behind them, emerging like a nightmare from the event horizon. Ship so enormous it dwarfed even human capital vessels. T was shaped like a black spine stretching kilometers long, with glowing crimson veins pulsing across its hull. Orion spoke again, but even the AI's voice carried something like fear. Commander, the readings are impossible. This ship, it is alive. A chilling silence filled the bridge. Mara whispered. Is that the Primarch's Ark? Rylan clenched his fists. Prepare all cannons, but do not fire unless they do. We cannot win a battle against that monster, not in this condition. The Void-born formation suddenly broadcast a signal. A deep, rumbling voice echoed through every speaker, every helmet, every screen. It was the same voice from the fragment, but now stronger, clearer, and full of ancient authority. Human anomaly. You have disrupted the cycle. You stand at the threshold of extinction. Surrender your vessel. The Primarch wishes to speak. Every crew member stared at Rylan, waiting for his decision. The wrong choice could doom the entire human species. The right choice could change the fate of the galaxy forever. Rylan inhaled slowly, his gaze locked on the living warship outside. He felt fear, real fear, But he also felt something else, resolve. "Open the channel," he said. "If the Primarch wants to speak, we will hear what it has to say." And with that, the largest and most dangerous enemy in the galaxy prepared to reveal itself. As the channel opened, a heavy silence settled over the horizon's edge like a cold blanket. The crew stood frozen, their eyes locked on the monstrous living warship displayed across the bridge's hollow window. The Primarch's arc glowed with slow, pulsing crimson veins as if a giant heart beat somewhere inside its armored body. Then the voice returned, deeper now, echoing across every surface of the human ship. Human anomaly. "Commander Rylan, you have interfered with the Voidborn cycle. You will now face judgment." Rylan stepped forward, his jaw tense but his voice steady. "This war started because your forces invaded our worlds. We only fought to survive. If you seek judgment, explain your actions." A strange low hum vibrated through the deck plates, as if the alien titan outside was thinking. The Primarch answered slowly. "Survival is irrelevant. The cycle demands expansion. Your species disrupted the balance by existing beyond your designated sphere. Humanity must be corrected." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. None of them understood what the cycle truly meant. Ryan's soft mechanical voice spoke into Rylan's earpiece. "Commander, based on historical data, the Voidborn's belief system revolves around predetermined cosmic territories. They believe each species must remain in its assigned zone." Rylan whispered back, "So we grew too fast for their liking." He straightened and spoke again to the Primarch. "We will not surrender. You attacked us without warning. You destroyed our colonies. Even now you surround us with weapons aimed at our hearts. If you want us corrected, you will have to finish the job." Another hum filled the bridge, and this time it felt like dark laughter. "Human defiance, T is as predicted. The anomaly persists. But before your destruction, the Primarch must measure your potential. Reveal your weapon." Confusion passed through the humans. Mara frowned. "Weapon? We barely have working engines." Orion replied calmly. "Commander, it is likely referring to something else. The Voidborn may have detected the surge emitted by the horizon's edge during our last battle." Rylan's eyes widened. He remembered. The strange flash. The impossible energy burst that came from the ship when everything should have failed. Some said it was a malfunction. Some whispered it was a miracle. No one had found the source. The Primarch continued, "The anomaly originates from your vessel, a power that should not exist, a power that threatens the cycle. You will surrender it now." Rylan felt a pressure in his chest, not fear but instinct. The ship had protected them. IT had released an unknown force that saved their lives. Did the Voidborn fear it? Maybe it was humanity's only chance. "We don't even know what that power is," Rylan replied firmly. "And we will not surrender anything to you." For the first time, the Primarch's voice carried something sharp, almost emotional. "Then you force our hand." The alien fleet surrounding Horizon's edge shifted formation, their ships glowing with energy preparing to strike. The crew braced themselves. The ship trembled, ready to die fighting. But then something unexpected happened. The deck lights flickered and Orion's core pulsed with bright blue light. "Commander," the AI said, "there is an energy awakening inside the ship. IT is the same signal as before, but stronger." The floor vibrated. The hull hummed, a surge of brilliant light shot through every corridor. The horizon's edge, broken, damaged, and nearly dead, suddenly felt alive. Mara gasped, "It's like the ship is waking up." Rylan gripped the rail as the light grew brighter. "Orion, what is happening?" The AI hesitated. "Commander, I am detecting a secondary intelligence inside the ship. Stronger than me. Older than me." The Primarch's voice thundered across the void. "The anomaly activates. Destroy them now." Voidborn ships fired all at once. Thousands of red lances of energy sliced toward Horizon's edge. But before the beams reached the hull, a blinding sphere of blue force erupted around the human ship. The attacks hit the barrier and dissolved into sparks. The crew stared in disbelief. Orion spoke with awe in its voice. "Commander, the ship has generated a shield beyond any known human technology. Calculating. Energy output is impossible. This is beyond science." Rylan froze. This wasn't a weapon. This was something else. Something hidden within the ship. Something ancient. Maybe something not human. "Identify the secondary intelligence," Rylan ordered. "Now." Orion processed rapidly. "It is a consciousness, a dormant entity that has now awakened. IT was buried deep in the core systems, long before this ship was even built." The bridge lights dimmed. The air thickened. And suddenly a new voice echoed through the ship. Not mechanical, not alien, but calm, wise, and powerful. Do not fear, I have been waiting for this moment. The entire crew turned as the holographic image of a figure emerged above the command table, a being made of soft blue light, humanoid but not entirely human. Its eyes glowed with ancient knowledge. Who are you? Rylan whispered. The figure answered, I am the Guardian. I was placed within this vessel centuries ago by those who saw the future. They knew the void-born cycle would one day threaten the galaxy, and they created me to awaken when humanity's hour of need arrived. The Primarch roared from outside, Guardian! Your interference violates the cosmic order. The Guardian turned its glowing gaze toward the Arkansas, and your cycle threatens free will. Rylan felt his heartbeat steady. Their ship was no longer alone. They had an ally, one older and stronger than anything the Voidborn expected. Commander, the Guardian said, prepare yourself. The true war begins now. The bridge shook. The Primarch charged power. The galaxy held its breath. And Horizon's edge lit up with a newborn fury ready to face the darkness.